What's up, Fallible Nation? And welcome to Manly Monday Live with Dallin. Haha, just kidding. Welcome to Manly Monday Live, guys. It is awesome to see you guys, and happy Thanksgiving week. It is awesome that you're here with us. I am so excited. We have an incredible show for you tonight. I'm being joined by author Stephen Crane. We're going to dig into gratitude like we have never dug into it before, guys. Be sure to let us know where you're joining from the comments. Shout it out. Guys, the more you get involved, the more this show is just awesome. I love interacting with you guys and spending time. I love seeing who's here. So let us know where you're coming in from. It is Thanksgiving week, and we are kicking off this week big time with guest Stephen Crane. The author of the book, I Can Appreciate That, is joining us tonight live to help us dig deeper into appreciation, gratitude, and all things in that realm. We're going to break it down to what it really looks like to appreciate something deeply and answer your questions during our live Q&A as well. Guys, if you are joining us and you want to jump on and ask us live in person on air, there's a form at the bottom of wherever you are joining from, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, it doesn't matter. There is a form in the description. Huh? You can't hear? Turn up the volume. I'm being told that we have technical difficulties. Can everybody hear me? Let me know in the comments. Colin, man, great to see you, brother. Can you guys hear me on the platforms you're on? Someone talk to me. You can hear me? Okay, so it's coming through. Jay, Colin, man, can you hear me? Okay, so Facebook can hear me. Jared, can you hear me on YouTube okay? I may have blown sound. You never know. Can you guys hear me? Okay. So if you can't hear me, check the volume on your television. That may be off, guys. Hey, if you want to come on live and ask questions during the Q&A portion, guys, there's a form at the bottom of Facebook and YouTube where you can fill that form out, and you can come on live if you got questions. Also, if you want to ask questions during the event, guys, then you can put a Q in front of your question down in the chat, guys, so that we can see that it's a question. That will help us out a lot. Other things. Screw it. Let's just get to the show, shall we?
Be better tomorrow because of what you do today.
All right, guys. Now I am proud to present my pleasure. My friend Stephen Crane is joining us from the snowy reaches of Georgia, or thereof in this case. Stephen,
what's up,
welcome to Manly Monday Live, man.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me back.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I turned down the wrong volume when I was trying to fix the other sound. My bad.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me back.
Man, I'm so sorry for why you're here. Stephen was supposed to be on vacation and wasn't going to be able to make the show, and it just didn't snow in Georgia. I'm sorry, man.
Well, so actually, I'm supposed to be in Colorado right now, where you would expect there to be snow, but there is none. And so we were supposed to go skiing, and now we're not. So now I get to look on the bright side, and I get to join you.
Well, hey, you know, I'm thrilled that you get to be here. Sorry that it turned out the way it did, though, because that always stinks to have a breakdown in your whole vacation plan. Stephen, I've talked to you about you on the show before, actually, whether you know it or not. I've actually given away your book on this show. All during, was it September you were donating the proceeds for the book?
That's correct.
August.
September. September was Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. And for anyone who's read the book, there's a whole chapter in there about cancer and an important story about childhood cancer and how that affected my life. And so through the whole month of September, we donated 100% of the proceeds from sales to cure childhood cancer. So thank you for your support there.
Yep, we that whole month, man. After you DM'd me on Instagram or wherever you hit me up, that whole month we just gave away your book all month on the show. That's
God bless you. Thanks.
So trying to support, brother. It's a worthy cause, so we're just glad to be a part of it. And I'm thrilled to have you here today. It's Thanksgiving, right? This is the time of the year that people are oftenly thinking about gratitude. And so I thought, what a better time to talk about it while people are open to the idea. Now, guys, we are, I see Jared in the comments. I see Common Man OCR. Dave, I see your question, brother, and we will dig into that in a little bit. And guys, if you're joining us, let us know where you're joining from. We love having you here. If you are having problems commenting, now you look, I'm going to use Dave as an example here. If you want your person to show up in this nice little corner down here, guys, then there's a little thing you have to say yes to at the top of the chat in Facebook that lets StreamYard, which is the platform I use, see who you are. Otherwise, you kind of show up like this.
She's opening it.
But,
She's gonna love it.
oops, I'll mute that.
This is the best gift ever.
Here I go, commercials in the middle of my broadcast again. What am I thinking? Oh my goodness, and it just won't shut up.
And with 50% off Black Friday deals.
Come on, go away. There we go. That worked. I'm so unprofessional these days. But Jared, that may just be because of the fact that you don't have a picture on there. But if you want your picture and your person to show up in the comments, you just have to say yes to things on whatever platform you're on, guys. We love having all you guys on here. We love talking to you guys. Dave says, kick the sound. Yeah, it's always an adventure. I'm still an amateur when it comes to live streaming. So what do you guys think? Dump the radio? Are we good with no sound? Just putting up with me and Steven? It really helps when you guys tell us things, because otherwise we just don't know. But if you want to be seen, that's how you do it, guys. So there's a little thing you have to approve of. Otherwise, you just show up as a random block, and I can still see your comments, but that way you get a little more personality. Now, we're digging in, guys. Steven spent a year dedicated to living in gratitude, which was the inspiration for the book, which is right here on my bookshelf. So, Steven, I want to ask you to start off the show. You spent a year dedicated to living with gratitude to write this book, and it's a tremendous book, guys. What changed in your life with that year?
Well, so the year in question that we're talking about happens to be 2020. This whole process started at the very end of 2019 with a very innocent conversation between myself and my then 14-year-old son. We were just having a conversation, and he said something to me. I said something back to him, and his response to me was, God, why do you always have to be so negative about everything? And a lot of times, you know, when your kids say stuff to you, especially when they're teenagers, you can kind of say, well, because I said so, or, you know, just I'm the dad, or, you know, whatever. But that particular response from him, it kind of stopped me cold, and I didn't have an answer for that, but he deserved an answer for that. So that happened right before, I mean, like weeks before the whole world went into shutdown for COVID. And so by trade, I'm actually an advertising writer. And so I spend most of my time, you know, writing advertising for different companies. And like a lot of other people in 2020, all of that kind of hit a pause button, right? And a lot of my business, a lot of my paying business kind of went away, which on face value, you're like, oh, that sucks. I definitely don't appreciate that. Yeah. But the hidden blessing in all of that is that it gave me time and space to actually answer his question. And so I very literally spent 13, 14 months doing what I call marinating my brain in gratitude, actually thinking about the answer to his question. Why am I always so negative? And I realized that it's because for as long as I can remember, I'm almost 50 years old now, right? And so for as long as I can remember, there have been any number of negative or unfortunate or tragic, whatever moments, you know, in my world. And I tend to, so those sort of help form who you are. And so those sort of have helped me become cynical and sort of glass half empty. And so that colors your reaction to just about everything. And so that's sort of the answer to his question. That's why I am often negative, but is there a different way that you can be, right? And so when you look at all those things that happen to you in every instance, when you go back and you actually spend time thinking about the challenges in your life, the tragedies in your life, the things that went the way you wish they hadn't gone, there's almost always these hidden blessings. Sometimes they're small and sometimes they're gigantic. And it's only with hindsight that you're able to literally appreciate what those blessings were, why those things happened, and what you actually gained from those situations instead of what you might have lost or what you might have thought you lost. So that was my 2020, was thinking about the answer to his question and writing those answers down through a series of 8 or 9 essays, which became that book that you have and that I have.
That I gotta say, your timing was just epic on that, whether you planned it or not. It's like, oh, you want to investigate, gratitude and appreciation? Sure. Let's change the world up a notch. Let's see how really grateful you are.
Man, so God's timing is fantastic, and his sense of humor, in air quotes, is pretty fantastic as well. So everybody had a lot of extra time, to do whatever, and everybody spent 2020 the way that they spent it. And as big of a challenge as that was, it was a huge blessing to me to go through that experience and to come out the other side with the different knowledge and the different understanding that I have about so many different things and relationships in my life.
It's was an undertaking for sure. I'm not sure how you did that, man. It just people are so negative, and you and I, when we talked on the podcast, and guys, if you missed the podcast episode with Steven, be sure and hit the Fallible Man podcast. Look back at the episode we did with Steven. On the replay, guys, if you're catching this on the replay, there's actually a link for the podcast in the description on YouTube, already there. So if you're on YouTube, you can check that out, guys. But we talk more about the book then. When we talked in that, I told you we're two of a kind, man. I'm a pessimist. And so being grateful in 2020, my 2020 started out with a broken neck and COVID. So it was a great 2-hit punch to kick off January 2020 for me. So yeah, getting through 2020 with a positive outlook was definitely rough. And here we are almost at the end of 2021, and the world is still a little bit rough. Life has changed drastically, and people are struggling with a positive outlook. That's why I wanted to dig into gratitude so much this week. With people already thinking about it with Thanksgiving, I wanted to just dig in while we had the opportunity, because it has been a very trying almost 2 years, year and a half, almost 2 years, whatever you want to call it. So I think it was really beneficial to dig into this today. Now, one of the things that really struck me in your book, and you wrote it like right at the beginning of the book, was the way you connected the definition of appreciation. And so I want to share that with our viewers. This is the actual dictionary definition of appreciation, guys. In order, these are the 4 definitions of the word appreciate, which is just, a dictionary, right? I even put in the little pronunciation thing for you guys when I was making these slides, just because I thought it'd be clever. And then I'm telling you, I'm doing it. So, but you got 4 definitions here, right? To understand fully, to recognize the full implications, recognize the full worth, to be grateful for, and to rise in value. And you showed us something in that book that just, I had never connected, and just mine was blown. And that's what I want to talk about today, because I don't think, I shared it with a friend the other day. I was recording the podcast for Thanksgiving. It's coming out Wednesday. And I shared this with a friend of mine. He's a minister, and like, he was just blown away with this, because it never connected in our heads. And so, guys, we're going to dig deep into that today. And before we start digging into it, guys, I want you to put hashtag appreciate if you want to be entered into tonight's drawing. You guys know I love to do giveaways. And tonight, in honor of Stephen, we're giving away a copy of his book. So if you haven't seen that book, which if you've been on the show, you absolutely have. But if you haven't, hey, look at that. You look good, Stephen, by the way. You too can win this book. Hashtag I can appreciate that. Or sorry, hashtag appreciate. Book is I can appreciate that. It's a phenomenal book, guys. I generally don't push books on the podcast that I haven't read, and I enjoyed that one a lot. We've given away several copies here just because I think it's such a positive book for people to share. So if you want to get that, hashtag appreciate. Hey, Katie, good to see you. Thanks for joining us tonight. Now, this is what we're getting into tonight, guys. You saw the definition of the word appreciate, but this magically stacks on itself. I'm going to let Stephen explain that. So, Stephen, let's go ahead and dig into this, sir. And hey, I brought you visual aids.
Right on. So, as Brent suggested, all of the answers are sort of in the dictionary. It's kind of funny. As I mentioned previously, I'm a writer by trade, and so I tend to think in words. I spend a lot of time with words. And as I was starting the process of thinking through answering my son's question and realizing that there was probably a book in that answer, one of the first things that I did, I went to the dictionary and I looked up the definition of appreciate, which I wasn't surprised to find that there were all those different specific definitions. But what I was sort of surprised by, and in the same way that you were sort of blown away, I kind of was too. It sort of presented this stair-step framework that all of them seem to build upon each other, and they seem to become more complex and more meaningful. So the very first definition is just acknowledgement. The fact that if there is a cup on the table, you can see that that cup exists. And just by looking at it and going, oh, there's a cup on the table, you are appreciating the fact that it exists. You are seeing it. And that's the very most basic definition of appreciate. That's not very profound, and it doesn't really require a whole lot from us. It's just sort of recognizing that something exists, right? So the second one is actually understanding it. When you look at the cup on the table and you realize that there is a cup on the table, and then you realize what its job is, when you realize that you can drink from it, you realize that it can hold pens, you realize that it can, bring nourishment to somebody, whatever it is, when you recognize the value of it, that's a whole nother level than just recognizing that something exists, right? Then you get to the third level.
Okay, wait, before you get to the third one, let's not go crazy here. Blow all our steam in one shot here. So we're digging into it, and we've got, I can appreciate that acknowledgement, right? So you see it.
Yep.
We don't think about appreciation in the term I see it, right? That's a very visual concept. So is seeing something that we appreciate just like recognizing the moment? Is that how this seeing it is? Or
well, think about it so I use the example of a cup, but any of these things can relate to things or people or relationships, right? I can see that you're there on the other side of the screen, right? That alone, it's interesting and it's cool, but if that's as far as you take it, it's pretty basic. It's kind of cool technologically that you and I can see each other from hundreds of miles away or whatever, right? But if that's all you do with it, then that's all there is to it, right? So it's the very most basic foundational level of just recognizing that something exists.
Okay. So just recognizing and acknowledging it, right? You're appreciating it at a certain level.
Right. And before you see something for the first time, that's if the thing that you're seeing for the first time is the Grand Canyon, there's this revelatory, oh my God, that exists. And then you start going to different places in your head, whatever. But it can be very basic, or just recognizing that something exists can have power in and of itself, but it's foundational. It's necessary to do that before you get to any of the other steps of appreciation that actually pay higher dividends than just recognizing that something exists.
Okay. So step 2 is understanding it, right? Now I'm going to go back to the definition here for people, because it's easy to get lost. One of the great things about your book and having that there is I could go back and forth between the pages and be like, and kind of track the conversation as you were explaining it. So number 2, right, is recognizing the full worth. And we got to that with understanding it, getting it. So is that like a moment of just like, light bulb moment, kind of getting it?
Well, so it builds on the first step, right? So on the first step, you're just recognizing that something exists. And then in the second step, you're understanding what function it serves, what it does, what its job is, or what, sort of what its value is, without really having an experience with it. You understand, oh, well, so that car that's parked outside, that could take me from where I am now to somewhere else. That's what its job is to transport me from one place to another. And that makes you appreciate it on a whole other level than just the fact that, oh, look, there's a car out there, happens to be a car out there. Once you realize that it can be useful to you, your appreciation for it naturally grows.
Okay. So that makes a little more sense. And guys, be sure and hashtag appreciate that. If you're just joining us, we got author Stephen Crane on, and we were talking about deep diving into appreciation and gratitude on this Thanksgiving week. Be sure and comment. Hey, interact with us. You got questions for Stephen? You got questions for me? You are not stuck with just what we're talking about tonight. You know that once we get to the Q&A, it's all fair game in the Fallible Man. So we'll take whatever questions. Also, be sure and hit that form if you want to come on live, guys, and join us live on air. Stephen and I would love to see you face to face and answer your questions, no matter how scary they might be, because I've gotten some doozies on here. And with that, we'll keep on rolling forward on this. Now, step number 3. Ooh, I hit the wrong screen. I can't hit the right screen. Too many options. This is why my wife does this, but she has no idea what my plan is right now. So Sarah normally takes really great care of me in the whole video thing, but she has no idea what my game plan is for this show. So she's doing her best to keep on top of it, but I'm making a mess of everything. So step number 3 in appreciation and appreciate.
Yeah. So once you see that something exists and you understand what its function is, then you have the opportunity to actually interact with that thing. Let's go back to the car example, right? So I see that there's a car outside my window. Great. Yeah, that's basic. Oh, that car could take me from place A to place B. That's understanding its value. And now I get it. I understand what it does. If I had an emergency and I had to go to the hospital, now I'm grateful that that car is that I'm grateful that I can take that car to work to make money for my family. I'm grateful that I can, take my kids to school. I'm grateful that I can use it to travel the country, whatever it is. When I interact with that thing or with that person or in that relationship or with that opportunity, when I actually do something dynamic and I interact with it and I have an experience and I recognize how the value of that does actually pay off,
Mm-hmm.
then I can have gratitude for that. Then I can actually be grateful for it. Now I've gone beyond just seeing that it's there and understanding what it can be used for. Now I've actually personally used that thing or interacted with that thing in the way that it was intended to, and I got a benefit from it. So now I can be grateful for that.
Okay. Now, while we're on grateful, guys, this is the audience participation part because y'all are asleep tonight. Hey, it's Thanksgiving week. So what are you most thankful for this week, guys? There is an incredible opportunity right now. Everybody is focused on gratitude, right? That's the whole Thanksgiving thing. I know we're all focused on the turkey. Well, some of you crazy people are. I hate turkey. But I'm focused on steaks or brisket or whatever we end up doing. I know we all think about the big meal, right? What are you thankful for this year? What are you most grateful for? Because one of the awesome things you can do in practicing gratitude in your life is actually acknowledging it, whether you write it down or you tell somebody or you share somebody. We're a community here. So I'll tell you, I am most grateful that my family's doing okay this year. We're okay. We've been blessed. We've been around the clock time or two, but we're all for the most part healthy and together, and life is moving okay. And I know there are a lot of people who have been struggling a lot worse than I did this year. So I'm counting my blessings that this year we've had some ups and downs, we've had some difficulties, but overall I've been incredibly blessed this year, and I'm so grateful for that my family is healthy. And so that's my big thank you this year, is with all of this craziness in the last 2 years, I feel very, very blessed with this year and how my family is. And I'm grateful for that, because I know not everybody got that this year. And so I'm just trying to be grateful for what God has blessed me with this year and that ability. We lost my father earlier this year, but he is in a better place. And, that was just a long time coming. So, I'm grateful that he passed with some ease. He went fairly peacefully compared to what some people go through. So, it's been a very blessed year for me. But what are you guys grateful for? You know what, even if you are watching this on the replay, tell me in the comments, tell me down below, share it in the chat, wherever you're watching from, whenever you're watching from. Guys, it can be cathartic, okay? And I think I'm using that word right. I'm hoping, Stephen, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
100%.
To just get that out. I was doing an interview earlier today for season 3 of the podcast, and that was one of the things we talked about, was sometimes just verbalizing that and actually sharing that with somebody or writing it down goes a long ways for really drilling in, and just it brings it to the surface and lets you have peace with it and lets you enjoy the moment. It's a beautiful thing. So whether you do it in the comment section, guys, of the replay, or in the chat tonight, or whether you just look at someone next to you and say, hey, you know what? I'm really grateful this year, right? Grab a friend, grab a family member, just share with somebody, what are you truly grateful for this Thanksgiving? And I know it's not till Thursday. All of you know I'm not a holiday guy, but guys, it's good for you. It is the beginning of understanding how to practice gratitude on a regular basis. So guys, dig into it, because gratitude is amazing. Now, we've seen it, we got it, which for some of us takes a little more work than others, because I'm a little thick, a little slow. I take more than the subtle hint. So once we got it and we're grateful for what we now understand we have, what is the next step of appreciate?
Well, so you actually just mentioned it in what you were thankful for when you were talking about the opportunity to share with other people, right? So once you've seen it, you've gotten it, you're grateful for it. Go back to our example of the car, right? So if I now have recognized what that can be of value to me, imagine what happens when you share that with other people, right? And this is where it all goes to a completely different level, and it has the opportunity to change not only your world, but other people's worlds, right? So think about the other definition of appreciate is sort of like the monetary or real estate sort of context of appreciate, where your house raises in value, it appreciates. Your stock portfolio raises in value, it appreciates, right?
Nice value.
So something becomes more valuable over time. So how do our relationships become more valuable over time? How do our experiences become more valuable over time? By sharing our experiences, by sharing our knowledge, right? If you have that car and you see that it's out there, and then you understand what it can be used for, and then it does something to help you, and then you're grateful for it. Well, guess what? Maybe there's somebody who doesn't have a car, for which having a car would be life-changing. You could take that car and you could give it to them, and that would literally change their life. Or you could drive somebody else to work. You could drive somebody to vote. There's so many different things, right? And you can apply that to anything, any person, any relationship, any situation. It's those first three things sort of happen to you, right? You see it, you get it, you're grateful for it. That fourth one requires you to actually do something with that, right? Then you have to turn the tables, and that's where it becomes transactional, where you have to give something. In those first three steps, you're getting something. You're getting information. You're getting an understanding. You're getting a sense of gratitude for what that thing did for you. In the fourth step, you have to give it away. You have to take what you've been given and appreciate it. You have to literally raise it in value for yourself, or hopefully even better for somebody else, for your spouse, for your friends, for your children, for your coworkers, for a random stranger, whomever, right? That's what it's literally all about, is taking what we've been given and growing it.
So wait a minute, because this is a rough concept. All right. Normally, when you think of gratitude or appreciation, you're thinking about something good that happened in your life, or you're thinking, oh, hey, I don't know, any number of things, right? You're thinking about something that's occurred. I'm using the words wrong. Sorry. That occurred in your life that you're grateful for. Maybe it's a promotion. Maybe it's a good day with your spouse. Maybe it's something your kids did, right? You're thinking about an outside influence coming in, and you're saying that to truly appreciate something, really deeply be grateful and appreciate something, then in turn, we actually have to have a response to that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Remember the function box in like elementary school mathematics, where you put a number in and then there's a function, the box is the function. It's like times 2, you put 2 in, the function is times 2, and it comes out the other side as 4, right? So we are the function box. We are the thing that makes something increase in value. Those experiences come into us, and what we put out into the world as a result of what we learned or what we got from that experience, that's the appreciated value of that experience.
That's a really big concept. And guys, I see a lot of people joining late. Hey, welcome to the show. It's great to have you guys. Chat with us in the chat box, guys. I love hearing your questions. Put a Q in front of your question if you got one, or hit the form if you want to come on air. We're getting closer towards the Q&A portion of the show. I know we've got a couple questions on here already, and we'll deal with those during the Q&A portion. But guys, if you got your questions, put a little Q or hit, hey, we'd love to have you on the stream live with us. And we are getting deep with the idea of appreciation. That was just mind-blowing the first time I read that in your book. You share that. This idea that for me to actually have gratitude, it's one thing to say, oh, hey, thanks for that. Hey, Stephen, thanks for coming on the show. I'm sorry the trip didn't work out, but thanks for coming on the show, right? That's what we're used to with surface level gratitude. But the idea that we actually have to put something back at it, that we have to return that or multiply it out if we're appreciative, if we're grateful, is a really big concept that most people never get to. Right? We're just like, oh, hey, thanks, or hey, I appreciate that happened, but that doesn't necessarily play back out the other direction. Right? There was a big thing several years ago, right? One of the country songs talked about passing it forward, right? Pay it forward.
Yep.
And then I think it got even picked up in a movie, right? The concept of pay it forward. But you're saying with the way appreciate is actually defined, that's the natural occurrence if we're truly appreciative of something.
100%. That's exactly right. It is literally paying it forward. It's you're the guy in the line at Starbucks, and the person in front of you bought your coffee. Oh, guess what? I'm going to pay it forward. I'm going to buy coffee for the not just the guy behind me, but the 2 guys behind me, right? I'm going to pay it forward. I'm going to pass on the blessing that I got, but I'm going to hope that it's actually bigger than what the blessing that somebody else gets as a result of my experience is bigger than the blessing that I got, right? Because think about your relationship with your kids, or a spouse or a coworker or whatever. If you have something happen to you, and let's just use the cynical approach, if something bad happens to you, you're able to take that experience and go, hey, come here, let me tell you something. Let me tell you what happened to me, and I'm not telling you what to do, but here's what I learned from that. And maybe if something similar happens to you, you can make a different choice. You can make a more informed choice. You can have a better outcome. And you can use the flip side of that too. Hey, this amazing thing happened to me. let me tell you how it happened. Let me tell you why it happened. If you ever have this opportunity, you definitely want to take advantage of this, or, whatever. You're passing along that knowledge, and you have no idea if the experience that someone that you share that with is going to have, it might mean twice as much to them or 10 times as much to them than it did for you. But just passing that on, it is the greatest appreciation for the blessing that you were given.
And I want to share my lovely wife chiming in here. She said, "I'm thankful that we're able to chase our dreams." Some of you know we have a lot of very close friends that are supporting us on here or on the live stream tonight. And this is the Fallible Man is a dream for us. We had a vision and a dream, and we've been very blessed this year to be able to chase that and some other dreams we've had. So, she's thankful that we're able to chase our dreams, and I am too. I figured that was a little too obvious for me to say, but guys, share what you're thankful for this year. Share in the comments. Tell us, what are you most thankful for this Thanksgiving? We'll share that on screen, even if it makes you uncomfortable. But we're going to share that out because you know what? That helps build the community. Sharing with each other builds us stronger. It encourages other people. It's an incredible thing. In fact, I encourage you to share it in the comments, not only here in the chat. If you're on YouTube, put it down in the comment section too, guys. Let's just start this thing out. I would love to see like this whole row of comments under the YouTube video of people just be like, "I'm grateful for this. I'm thankful for this." That would just be like so cool. Sorry, I'm having big pipe dreams here. People being open and honest and appreciative of things. It's a crazy idea, right? Now, guys, hashtag appreciate that. Or sorry, I can't separate it now. I've talked about your book so many times. I just can't separate the whole. Hashtag appreciate if you want to be at the drawing. We're going to get to that in just a couple minutes, guys. We're almost there. I know that's why everybody's here, is I want the book. But, before we get into that, guys, hey, it's Thanksgiving week, right? Now is the time to dig into your gratitude and just embrace that in your life. So I want to challenge you this week. I want to give you a challenge. I want to give you homework. Now I'm asking you to do something. I want you to grab either like a big piece of butcher paper or like a drawing pad or even a notepad, okay? And for the rest of the week, today is Monday night. Thanksgiving is 3.5 days away at this point. For the rest of the week, I want you to like put that somewhere in your house where you're going to walk by it all the time. And I want to, hey, Jess, thanks for joining. I want you to write down anything you can think of that you're grateful for as you walk by it. I want you to just make a list, guys. You use a legal pad if you need to use a legal pad. I keep one on my desk, but put it somewhere where you're going to walk by it in your house on a regular basis. And every time you walk by it, every time you think of something this week, I want you to just write a gratitude list for this week. It may take a few sheets of paper if you're used to this practice, if you're used to practicing gratitude. If you're not used to focusing on practicing gratitude in your life, that's okay. This will help you kickstart. And guys, focusing on gratitude in your life, I get to interview all kinds of people on this show. Between the live show and the podcast, I have talked to just an incredible amount of various people from all walks of life. And one of the consistent things I have found, and Stephen, correct me if I'm wrong, if you've experienced this too, people who are successful, now define that however you want, people who are successful in their lives, who feel successful in their lives, like they're moving in a positive direction, gratitude is a foundational pillar for almost everyone. I've talked to multimillionaire realty tycoons, guys who own millions of dollars worth of property. I've talked to dating coaches. I've talked to people who, tame elephants. I've had some interesting people on this show, and every single one of them said that, in one way or another, that gratitude was just a foundational pillar of their successes in life. Stephen, have you experienced something like that? Or
I would agree with you 100%. It's funny when you said, how do you define success? There are all kinds of different definitions for success. And if you can be defined by your job, you can be defined by how much money you make, you can be defined by the things that you have. If that's how you define success, you'll you won't be you won't be happy, right? And you'll never be satisfied, because if you're defined by how much money you make, you're always going to think you can make more, which you probably could. But yeah, having gratitude and being able to share that with other people, it is an experience like no other. And it's an experience that all the money in the world can't buy. So yeah, absolutely.
Now, guys, seriously, it may seem like a silly exercise to walk by and write down gratitude on paper. I was talking, like I said, with a friend of mine earlier this week, and they have big sheets of butcher paper that him and his wife hang in their house. And like, it's just a wall. And they just, for the couple of weeks leading up, it's not just 1 week, for the couple of weeks leading up to Thanksgiving, they just walk by and randomly, I'm thankful for the cup of coffee I had today because it was just what I needed at the moment. Right? I mean, they take it to the extreme, guys. And I'm not saying you have to write down every little thing like that. I'm not saying you shouldn't. It's a great idea, guys. It will help you focus on practicing gratitude and looking for the positive things in your life that are just absolutely incredible.
So go ahead and challenge people to include all the little things too, because if you're only looking for like the gigantic things, you're going to miss all the little tiny things. Your cup of coffee example is a perfect one, right? If you had somebody think about, make a list of all the things you're thankful for, they would start with like the biggest things, and it would take them a really long time to get down to that cup of coffee, right? They might not even think about it. If you are mindful to include all those little blessings, you'll actually start that marinating process, right? If you're constantly thinking about the big things and the little things and all of the things that you had to be thankful for, it actually, that's where that marinating your brain in gratitude comes from. And it starts to actually rewire your thinking. It actually starts to change the perspective that you see everything through. And, I wouldn't say that I've become magically not cynical anymore. I'm not sure if that's possible, but I definitely have a completely different perspective because you become more attuned to recognizing all the little blessings that are in there. So yeah, write down all the little stuff too.
There it is, guys. The gauntlet is down. Write down all the little stuff as well. Now that you have a challenge between here and Thanksgiving, and guys, I hope you get to celebrate that with the people you love. Shirley is chiming in from a distance. She's grateful for I'll get to that in a second. I'm thankful, Jared. We're all over the place. Sorry. This is what happens when I try and read the comments. Shirley Keene says, I'm thankful God blessed me with a wonderful husband. She was married just a year ago. She just celebrated her first anniversary, I believe, with her husband. They got married a year ago.
Awesome. Congratulations.
And Jared is sharing with us, I'm thankful for taking the opportunity to learn new things this year that weren't so easy. Do hard things. Bonus, brother, for including do hard things. That's a video I did recently. So that's why that's a reference there, Stephen. I did a video recently called Do Hard Things on my YouTube channel that was totally outside of my normal realm of videos, but do hard things. That's right. Thankful for the opportunity to learn new things. Guys, I am thankful that you are here with us. And let me prove that. #appreciate. It's time to give away a book because I love to give away books. So if you want a chance to win this book, I actually have multiple copies behind me. If you have,
so hold on, Brent. I was going to say, can we actually appreciate that? Can I send you 2 more so that instead of giving away 1, we're giving away 3?
Absolutely.
Let's do 3.
Absolutely. We can give away 3.
Yeah, let's do 3.
All right. So #appreciate that, guys. If you don't have this book, or you know what, even if you have this book and you know someone that you think would benefit their life, #appreciate that. We're going to draw multiple winners tonight.
Christmas is coming up too. Makes a great gift.
There we go. So are we ready, everybody? #appreciate that. If you want to win this book, guys, we're giving away 3 copies tonight. There are going to be a lot of winners. Here we go. Oh, there are already only 2 entries. People are slow to enter tonight. Oh, there's 3. Wow, dude, Jared, I'm just gonna start sending you a copy of everything I do because Jared wins so many drawings. You are like on a roll, brother. Totally on a roll. All right, Sarah, take notes. All right, we're gonna give away 3 books tonight. Here we go again. You can't win twice,
It's going
Jared.
to be Jared again.
Probably. Congratulations, Katie. We'll get that book off to you shortly. All right. Hopefully it's excluding. Shirley Keene asked to enter. She's on a tablet. You know what? We can do that. So here we're going to do, I'm going to come over here and type in, because I have an account over here. Bam. So I will enter. Let's see if that shows up. Where is it? There it is. Hey, look at me. There I am. Give them on the book if I win. All right. Here we go. One more book going out, guys. 4 entries. Katie, you can't win twice. I hate to tell you this, so we'll run that again. It's going to be Jared. He wins all the time. Wow. 2 copies. Okay. I can't do it, man. I love you. I can't do it. Let's get a few more of these out here since Steven's supplying books here. Hey. All right. I'll take that because that's going to my mother-in-law since she can't draw right now. That's my mother-in-law. And she actually tried to roll on this book on one of the previous giveaways and didn't get it there. So I will take that win and send her a book since she can't actually enter. She tries to get on here. The tablets just are not as nice sometimes. I'll teach you how to do that later next time I see you, Mom. So, Sarah, I hope you wrote those down. 3 copies of. I can appreciate that. Guys, we will get you squared away and get your books on your way to you. You know what? This is what I'm recommending to you right here, okay? I actually did this with one of the copies of the book, your book I have. I gave a copy after I read it to a friend. So, guys, if you read the book, that's one of the greatest things about books is like one of the running jokes for Christmas at our house between me and my siblings is we'll buy each other a book. You don't get the book till we're done reading it, right? If we buy each other a book, you can almost guarantee that the person who bought it read it before they got it sent to you. So congratulations to our winners, guys, and we will get those books to you. Now, Stephen, we are going to get into some Q&A here. All the way back up. Common Man was with us. Where is it? Oh, there it is. My wife's on top of it. I'll stop looking and just let my wife scroll through it. What is a way to focus oneself on gratitude when there's tremendous pressure in a negative fashion? You want to lead off or you want me to?
Well, so I have several different thoughts. Do you want to start?
No, go for it. They want to talk to you. They talk to me every week.
Yeah, no worries. So, first of all, realize that there's nothing that you can do to keep bad things from happening to you, right? So, if there's pressure, if there's negative situations, that's inevitable. It's how you react to it that makes all the difference, right? And that is something that I have to remind myself of all the time. It's something my wife has to remind me of all the time. It's something my children remind me of all the time. I'm not wired to think positively necessarily. So I succumb to that pressure all the time. Realizing that, so start thinking about all the things, from the big things and the little things, as far back as you can remember. Think about things from the distant past that you have a lot of hindsight on, and revisit those situations. That's exactly what the exercise of writing that book was essentially for me, was going back and thinking about all these things that I had just sort of socked away as negative, right? It's when you revisit those things and you realize oh, well, if I hadn't lost that job, I wouldn't have had the next job that introduced me to my wife, or I wouldn't have had the next job that introduced me to one of my best friends, or that gave me this amazing opportunity, or that helped me grow in this way, or whatever. Right. And so when you revisit that stuff, you realize that in almost every situation that you're going to have, there's going to be those blessings that you might not have even noticed from them. And so when you realize that that's the truth, the current situations that you're in where there's a bunch of pressure, having the confidence or the comfort that comes from knowing that whatever it is that we're going through right now is almost certainly a blessing in disguise, that helps de-escalate that pressure. That helps you let go, right? And go through the situation and realize that whether it takes 5 minutes or 5 months or 5 years for you to figure out what that blessing is that's hidden in there, it's coming. All right. So that would be the biggest thing that I would suggest.
All right. You know what? I don't think I'm even going to try and tack onto that because I think that was an excellent answer. If anything, I would say you have to separate yourself from the moment. We all, our instinctual reaction to almost anything is an emotional reaction, right? And there's absolutely nothing wrong with emotions. Emotions are valid. You need to recognize and validate those emotions, but you need to detach yourself long enough to look, recognize the emotion you're having and take a step back and decide why you're having that emotion and how you want to deal with that emotion, right? In the same way, you have to deal with this. And if you've got a lot of pressure in a negative fashion, you need to take a step back from your emotions, separate that emotion out for a second, and just look at it with some cold, hard logic and go, okay, why am I reacting to this way? Why am I seeing this as negative pressure? And then you can look objectively at your situation and figure out what pieces you have to work with and to change that situation, or at least change the way you look at that situation.
Absolutely. The other thing that I would add there is having the recognition that whatever it is that you are facing, whatever challenges you're facing, whatever pressure you're under, realizing that you are most certainly not alone in that is hugely helpful, right? So the process of going through writing this book, when I started, my assumption was that in all those challenges that I had faced, whether it was losing a loved one to cancer, or it was losing a job, or health challenges, whatever it is, my thought was, I'm the only person that's had this experience. I'm the only person that lost what I lost. I'm the only person that can understand this. That is so incredibly not true. And like the gift of being able to share these stories and have other people come back to me and say, oh my God, the thing that happened to you, that didn't necessarily happen to me exactly the same way, but let me tell you what happened to me. And then you have a dialogue with that person and you start to understand their experience, and they gain from yours and you gain from theirs, and recognizing that you're not alone, that pressure goes away. Or, well, it doesn't go away, but it gets divided, right? At least in half, or, by however many people you're able to share that with. People are there to help you, and you're in nothing alone unless you choose to be alone.
I want to show this comment before we hit the next question. Sarah says she's found that focusing on gratitude during difficult times can be an act of defiance against the hard things happening. It helps you gain perspective on the moment. It helps you gain perspective on what you're facing and what you're dealing with. So I absolutely agree with that statement. Now, I believe we had another question. There it is. Hey, Jared says, hi, Stephen. Can you talk about generosity and how it supports or influences gratitude?
Yeah, absolutely. So the idea of, I'm a word guy again, right? So when you see the word generosity, a lot of time people's immediate connotation for that is money again. So that's not the only connotation, but let's use that as an example, right? So if you are, if you have a financial need, right? So one of the things that I write about in the book is trying to raise $80,000 to buy a new playground for a Title I elementary school, which Title I elementary school is one that has limited funds, has a fairly challenged population economically, and doesn't have a whole lot of deep pockets, in their population, right? And so I happen to be on the school board for that school, and we were trying to raise $80,000, and that is very difficult to do when you don't have just corporations tripping over themselves to throw tens of thousands of dollars at you. We literally were nickel and diming our way to this thing. We put a fish tank in the school lobby, and we had visitors and kids bringing in like their spare change, which you think is kind of stupid, but it generated thousands of dollars over a certain period of time, right? So I use that as an example. I had a 7-year-old come to me and hand me his allowance, right? And say, other people need this more than I do, right? That is a child who is a great appreciator, a greater appreciator than even I could be, sometimes, who is giving everything that they have for somebody else, right? So when you do that, when you share the resources that you're given, man, does it bless other people. And giving money is the only thing that money is worth is the joy is what you can do with it, right? The joy you can create by spending it, the power that you can create by spending it, the impact that you can make by investing it in other people. So yeah, the idea of being generous with the gifts that come from God and from our hard work, it fuels gratitude, and it blossoms appreciation exponentially.
Oh, God, big into this. Generosity and how it supports or influences gratitude. It's funny because people, you're right, people automatically think finances, right? That's the first thing that always comes to mind when we talk about generosity. But really, we were talking about earlier, right? Step 4, increasing value. I will grow and or tend that which I'm appreciative for, right? Generosity, I think, is a response sometimes to gratitude. And the more you practice both, the more they grow together. But generosity isn't just your money, right? There's a lot of us who, we don't have a lot of money. I wish I had money that I could be more financially generous with. I would love to be able to write checks for schools to put in playgrounds that are much needed. Wouldn't you? I mean, when you love to be able to pin that $80,000 check. Now I can be generous with the finances I have, but for a lot of people where that's just not a major feasibility, right? They just don't have the income to give too much, right? And Katie's nailing it on the head already in the comments over here. There are a lot of people who, while they may not be able to give, they give what they can financially without crushing their family. And there is a lot to be said for sacrificial gratitude and sacrificial giving. So there's a great deal to be said for those people who are giving to the point where it hurts because it's what they have. But in a lot of times, that's not just finances, and that's what so many of us think about. Somehow we've connected generosity and finances together in our brains. But you can be generous out of your gratitude in your time, in your skills, in your abilities, in your ability to listen. I remember one of the most impactful things that I ever did in school, and Jared actually will appreciate this because he was there. Back in either 5th or 6th grade, they took us to a local nursing home and paired us off with the residents. And for the rest of the school year, every Friday, we walked down the nursing home and we connected with those residents. I still deeply remember that. But one of the things that really impressed upon me is sometimes generosity is me setting aside what I want to do and just focusing on somebody else's needs or wants are just increasing the benefit of their life, right? We had amazing conversations, and sometimes some of the residents would tell us stories. Sometimes we'd read to them because we were supposed to be working on that. Sometimes we, just talked, but just having somebody to connect with, because so many of those residents didn't. So I think your gratitude, thanks, Jay. I think your gratitude can come out in a way that inspires generosity on multiple levels. You just have to recognize that those are generous moments. How you spend your time. I know you do a lot of volunteer work with youth baseball where you live, right, Stephen? I enjoyed those stories. I'm not a baseball guy, but I've been a kids coach for basketball leagues multiple times. And just, that is generosity, because I'm sure there are other things you could be doing, whether it's with your family or whether your career or just wanting some downtime. And as a dad that works a full-time job and has a, side business that I'm trying to build and a family, my time is so tight, right? I schedule in time with my children to make sure that I'm spending adequate time with them, that they feel and know that I love them and value them. So time is a huge investment in generosity. And that comes out on so many levels. That can be having a cup of coffee or sitting and listening to somebody. I worked in a nursing home actually when I was 19, and I was heartbroken how many of those residents no one ever came to visit. I mean, it was, Stephen, it was heartbreaking and depressing to see how many of those very sweet people. I mean, I enjoyed working there because I enjoyed getting to know. I did maintenance as a 19-year-old kid, and I enjoyed scrubbing their floors or fixing things in their rooms, because all of those people had a story and were unique and just incredible. And I got to experience that. But it just broke my heart as I got to know them, how many people didn't see them. So I think it can come out in a lot of ways. And I think if we focus on that, it becomes a cyclical loop. The more you exercise generosity in response to gratitude, it just becomes a cyclical thing that just grows into where it's just natural for you anymore. And I think at that point, as that grows, it just blesses your life and it blesses those people around you incredibly.
Absolutely. And so it's funny, the thing that you were expressing there in several of your examples is the idea of joy, right? And we're told that God loves a joyful giver, right? And it makes so much of a difference, the spirit in which you give, right? You can set aside a portion of your money or your time or your talents or your resources and make sure that you're giving that to other people. But if you're doing that begrudgingly because you think you have to, or because you feel obligated, or just because you feel guilty, or if you're doing it for any of the wrong reasons, that's wasted, right? It might help somebody in the short term, but the true power of that is wasted because there's not joy attached to it. When you're talking about getting joy from scrubbing floors and just doing things that don't necessarily scream joy on face value, but because of who you're helping and the impact that it's having, it does bring you joy. It makes all the difference. The people who receive that, it's recognized and received loudly. People understand that they can see the spirit in which you give, in addition to the amount that you give, whether it's your time, your talents, your money, etc.
Guys, if we got any more questions, now's the time. Put a Q in front of it. I don't see any more, so we're going to wrap this up. Stephen, thank you for joining us tonight on the live. I really appreciate you taking the time to be here. I truly do. Guys, be sure to catch the podcast later this week with Sean McNay. We're going to deep dive into gratitude as a verb with Sean on the podcast on Wednesday. And go back and catch the podcast with Stephen that we did before. Stephen, you got anything else you want to share?
No, just thanks. I'm grateful for the opportunity. You know, we started this whole thing off by saying that I wasn't even supposed to be here, and you know that what a great opportunity it is for me to reconnect with you after having enjoyed our first conversation so much, to share any of these ideas with folks who haven't heard them before. You know, that's just a blessing waiting to happen. You know, for me, for you, for whomever. So thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. I look forward to continuing our conversations and our connections.
Absolutely. Guys, as it's Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving to you. I hope you get to spend it with people you love and you can connect with them. Until next time, be better tomorrow because of what you do today. We'll see you on the next one.